welcome to join me, Kejang Henry at Timbe for the 6 p.m. news. Let's begin with our top stories. Indicted in the murder of Martinez Zogo, Jean-Pierre Amugu Belinga was in court this morning to request for a pre-trial release. The Central Regional Court of Appeal rejected the request, adjourned the hearing for April 27, 2023. And the church in Cameroon is worried about the surge in heinous crimes, blame it on foreign moral standards, and has advised the government to work in synergy with the church to make sure they look for a solution. Those were our top stories. Welcome back. One of the suspects in the killing of journalist Martinez Zogo was in court this morning. The legal team of Jean-Pierre Amugu Belinga had requested for a pre-trial release of the media mogul. And after a brief examination of the appeal, the examining magistrate the examining team led by Magistrate Gilbert Slick actually threw the case out and adjourned to April 27, 2023. Jean-Pierre Amugu Belinga filed an appeal for temporary release after he was placed under 6 months awaiting trial at the Kondengui prison by the military tribunal charged with complicity in the torture of Martinez Zogo. And the church in Cameroon is very much worried about the surge in heinous crimes, blame it on the fallen moral standards in the country, and has advised the government to work in synergy with the church to look for a solution. Dee Maureen has been talking to some men of God, and this is what they said in the following report.
The life of Cameroonians remains under balance with an upsurge of heinous crimes recorded in almost every part of the country daily. A disturbing problem that has provoked many to question the role of the church in a society where the respect of human life no longer exists. Should the church fold its arms and watch human beings stuffing out life from another?
We are created an image to kill God, because your brother, your neighbor, is also an image of God.
We have and people, they would have seen it as something that it was supposed to be a righteous, but finally it is a criminality that increased.
The question of drop in morality is being debated at a time when there is a plethora of churches at every street corner all over Cameroon.
We call them as church to go back to the Lord and His word, to go back to our tradition in our family and education.
The collapse of families and the role of parents is also pinpointed in the general blame game.
We hope the government will rise up and find out how to do a synergy, really a very good synergy with the churches.
I call parents to do their job as educators. I call all moral authorities to do their job. We pastors, imam, and all of us, we have to do this job too.
Social critics say it's high time the church takes up its responsibility by building strong moral values, which trickles down to families and a stronger society where there is love than hate speech, killings, rape, violence, and a lot more.
Thanks, Maureen. And the National Coordinator of the Presidential Plan for Reconstruction and Development of the Northwest and Southwest region of Cameroon, Mutuba Tamajong Obase, has actually urged the elites of these two regions to make sure they participate in the reconstruction process. I was speaking after a meeting that took place at the Prime Minister's office, as you report, Hyson.
Despite pockets of resistances persisting in some localities of the Northwest and Southwest regions, with cases of killing still recorded, on daily and weekly basis. The steering committee of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the two regions indicate that enormous progress has been made in the strengthening of social cohesion, rehabilitation of basic infrastructure, and the revitalization of the local economy. This, the new coordinator announces an inclusive approach.
We are developing a strategy where the population will be involved both at the conception and the follow-up of the structures.
Meeting at their semester steering meeting this April 13, Motuba Tamanjon Obase challenged the elites of the two regions to get involved in the reconstruction and development process, giving a push to the initiative and by giving back to their various communities.
We have developed also a concept called success social responsibility, where you think because you've succeeded in life, you should give back something to your community. And if we are having a plan where most of us felt it can't work until there's complete peace, and we start saying we've succeeded in one way or the other, in our little way, we should give back to society. We could start by giving back to the plan to our various communities.
The 10 years plan, the stakeholders underline, is still hampered by limited resources, as most of the funds come from developmental partners through loan agreements and contributions from friendly countries.
Thanks, Hyacinth. And all the 100 senators of the third legislature have actually passed what is known as the verification test, meaning they are all compatible, and after adoption they had to start exercising functions as senators. And the result, at the end of the four different deliberations by the chairpersons in charge, the exercise was conducted by a provisional bureau headed by the eldest member of the Senate, Rene Zengele. And this is in line with the electoral code to ensure that the senators elected or appointed do not hold other posts of responsibilities like board chair, ministers, secretary generals, and others. The senators themselves filled forms declaring self-honor. Senator Isaac Chaffra is the chairperson of the B committee with 25 names. He comes back to the result of his committee and the next step after this process. In fact, he spoke to our reporter, Beatrice Nkamo.
Work was to verify the files of senators that were before us, and after verification, my committee established that there wasn't any senator in a situation of incompatibility. So all the senators whose files we examined are okay. We'll now submit our report in the plenary for adoption. Once the reports are adopted, the senators whose files we have examined will start exercising their functions as senators.
That was Senator Isaac Chaffra now talking there to Beatrice Nkamo. After the verification process, the National Commission in charge of the homologation of new phytosanitary products and the certification of sprayers and other tools met in Yaoundé in their 35th ordinary session. In fact, they have selected some of the products that will meet international standards. Beatrice Nkamo.
Cameroon is working towards ensuring her consumers are being supplied with food that is safe to eat by the standard considered appropriate. We need to control all products on the market to make sure they are in compliance with international standards, guidelines, and recommendations. The reason for the National Registration Commission of Phytosanitary Products and Certification of Sprayers, important not only for agricultural production, but also for the health of the population.
We need to control all the products which are put on the market in order to be sure that those products are in compliance with the regulation and law with the Republic.
The 35th ordinary session this Thursday by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development is to assess developments this far.
Urge all the distinguished members of this commission to be very, very scrupulous on the examination of files submitted to their commission so that they can preserve the quality of made in Cameroon. This is very important.
And so need to conquer certain new markets also.
Thanks, Beatrice Ngamo reporting there. And the security crisis in Cameroon has actually drained government coffers for the past years. And with the global economic recession, it has not been very easy for the government as it remains indebted. And so to boost export revenue, the government is crafting out measures, as we hear from you, Ambo Gladys Diba.
The volume of Cameroon's export remains relatively insignificant under the AGOA initiative, according to experts. That is between $68 million and $228 million, mainly from petroleum products. Yet, she is negotiating to regain its preferred trade status at the African Growth and Opportunity Act, from which she was suspended in 2019 due to gross violations of human rights. Even though the withdrawal had no significant impact on Cameroon's economy, government believe by rejoining the initiative, it will boost export revenues to settle and ward off potential debt crises.
Cameroon government want to boost export to USA because the country think that export can generate the currency, and the currency can help the Cameroon government to pay the interest of its debt, because now it's not easy for the Cameroon government to pay the interest of its debt.
That is a very, very important opportunity for us to make commercial transaction with a country without paying those, custom and taxes.
Talks are therefore ongoing to end Cameroon's suspension from the AGOA initiative. The Cameroon government says the country is ranked in a high-risk debt distress position, reason why its debt service coverage from exports needs to be improved. Experts say, apart from exporting to the United States and European Union, Cameroon can take advantage of the African continental free trade market.
We are linked with the European Union since about 70 years, and we are working with them. I'm sure this cooperation is not totally bad. We are working with them because if not, we have to have more unemployment in the country. You know that we are selling banana free of charge in European zone. We don't have to pay any tax there, but normally we are not so competitive.
Cameroon's use of the AGOA mechanism before its suspension was reportedly inconsequential for its exports, as only 28.3% of her export was under the initiative.
And of course, we talk now some culture, where the Yaoundé is playing host to the International Balafon Festival, known as the Njanja Menzang Cultural Show. In fact, this cultural show is aimed at transforming Balafon from the traditional use to its full-fledged modern music. Beatrice Ngamo visited the cultural show, which is, of course, going to hold conferences and concerts. And a report.
The combination of the balafon or xylophone, band, guitar, the magic to valorize Cameroon's culture. The exhibition at the National Museum is the International Njanja Minjang Festival. The aim is to take balafon from its traditional use to a full-fledged instrument. Balafon is a large xylophone made out of wooden bars with hollow gourds as resonators, played at times alongside drums here in Cameroon. The event has brought together xylophonists from Italy, Germany, South Africa, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cameroon to see, but also how to merge African music with modern music by using the xylophones. The one-week events will be from the National Museum, Ubuntu Cultural Center, Goethe Institute, and Noa Village, with concerts, conferences, discussions, artistic mediation, and others. With sideline, the Italian Night, this Wednesday at Chez Marcelo. The International Xylophone Festival is an initiative of the Cultural Association of Cameroon.
Well, thanks very much, Beatrice Ngamo, reporting there from Yaoundé, and drawing the curtains for this edition of the 650 News. I've been Kejang Henry Atebe, thanking you for your kind attention. Coming up, the brief de l'actualité with Uncle Lady Lipijo.